Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today's episode is full of tension. James suddenly goes silent. Tu Diep and Mrs. Huyen can no longer wait. They begin tracing the last clues he left behind, from the empty house to the quiet mountain roads. What they are about to find will change everything. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the upcoming videos. Let's begin. Diep doesn't remember when she first sat down at the table. She only knows that when she opens her eyes, her wrist has gone numb and her back aches with exhaustion. The kitchen light is still on. On the table sits a bowl of rice, long since gone cold. Outside, the night is pitch dark. She startles as she looks at the clock. 2 a.m. James still hasn't come home. Diep jumps to her feet, her heart pounding faster. She steps into the yard, gently pulls the gate open, then stands there, staring down the familiar road in front of the house. Not a single headlight, not a single sound. Only the night wind moving through the trees, carrying a chill that snaps her fully awake. She paces back and forth in the yard, stopping to look at the road, then turning back into the house. Her phone rests in her hand, but Diep doesn't call. It's already this late. She doesn't dare call Mrs. Huyen. She doesn't dare wake anyone in the middle of the night over a worry she can't yet name. Maybe he's just coming home late, Diep tells herself. Maybe he stayed somewhere overnight. But the more she tries to reassure herself, the more the unease refuses to leave. She sinks into a chair, eyes fixed on the gate, wishing for dawn more than she ever has before. Before the sky even begins to lighten, Diep is already awake. She moves quickly, as if refusing to give herself time to think further. Ly is woken earlier than usual. Diep gets her ready, takes her to school, then returns immediately. Without hesitation, she heads straight to Mrs. Huyen's house. The moment Mrs. Huyen opens the door, she knows something is wrong. Diep speaks briefly, without circling around it. James didn't come home all night. He didn't answer his phone. He didn't send a message. Mrs. Huyen freezes for a few seconds, then hurriedly grabs her coat. "We find him, right now," she says, her voice trembling but firm. They get into the car. No one says another word. Each carries her own fear, but they share the same thought. James has run into trouble. Their first stop is the company. The office is already open for the morning. The employees are surprised to see Diep and Mrs. Huyen. When asked, all they can say is that James left the company the previous afternoon. He mentioned going to meet a partner, then planned to scout an additional piece of land. "Did he say where he was going?" Diep asks. No one knows for sure. They only vaguely remember James mentioning a hillside outside of town, going alone, not meeting anyone there. Mrs. Huyen stands still, gripping the strap of her bag tightly. Diep thanks everyone, then gently pulls her outside. There is no time to panic. They have to keep moving. They continued out of town, the road gradually narrowing and growing more uneven. Houses became sparse, replaced by dense rows of trees and a series of rolling hills. Diep slowed down, her eyes never leaving the road. Mrs. Huyen sat behind her in silence, her hand gripping tightly onto Diep's jacket. They traveled for quite a while without seeing any clear signs. No passing vehicles, no people. Only long bends in the road and an increasing spread of loose gravel across the surface. "This is the road," Diep said softly, as if reassuring herself. "He mentioned a hillside with a lot of gravel." Mrs. Huyen didn't respond. She just stared straight ahead. As they approached a blind curve, Diep suddenly eased off the throttle. Ahead of them, lying on its side by the roadside, was a motorcycle. Diep stopped abruptly. The bike had slid to one side, its body badly scratched. The handlebars were bent out of shape, a broken piece of plastic mixed in with the gravel. No one was around. Mrs. Huyen stepped off the bike, her legs going weak. She had to hold on to Diep's shoulder to stay upright. "The bike. It's James's," she said, her voice trembling. Diep rushed over, examining every detail closely. The thick layer of gravel on the road, the short skid marks trailing from the tires. Everything pointed to one clear truth. James had fallen here. Diep called his name. Once, then again. Her voice echoed along the empty road, quickly carried away by the wind. There was no answer. She moved closer to the edge of the road. Below was a steep slope, thick with vegetation. Somewhere beneath it, the steady sound of running water echoed, close enough to hear, yet impossible to see. Diep stood frozen. There was no need for further explanation. No need for more signs. James hadn't walked away. James had been in an accident. And from the moment they saw the motorcycle abandoned on that gravel-covered road, their search was no longer a fragile hope, but a race against time. They didn't linger long on that gravel road. Diep was the first to speak, her voice deeper and steadier than she expected. "There's the sound of water down there. Could he have fallen into it?" Mrs. Huyen nodded immediately without hesitation. The two of them looked around, searching for a way down. A local man riding a motorbike passed by and stopped when he saw them standing by the roadside. When Diep asked, he pointed behind them. There was a small path, gentler in slope, leading down toward the stream. They turned back and followed the direction he indicated. The dirt path was narrow and rocky, but clearly well used. The lower they went, the colder the air became. The sound of flowing water grew clearer, steady and deep. When they reached the edge of the stream, the man stopped his bike and pointed ahead. "There's a wooden house nearby," he said. "An elderly woman lives there alone." Diep and Mrs. Huyen went on. The wooden house appeared after a small bend, simple, low, with a dirt yard and a few vegetable beds in front. The door was slightly open. The man called out loudly. After a moment, an elderly woman stepped outside. She wiped her hands on her shirt, her eyes widening in surprise at the sight of strangers. When she heard Diep speak quickly, her expression softened. "Yes, I did see a man," she said. "He fell near the stream. His head was bleeding badly. I dragged him back here." Diep stood still. She didn't ask another question. She simply moved quickly toward the door. Inside the wooden house was a small, tidy, clean space. The smell of cooking smoke still lingered in the air. On a mat laid in the middle of the room, James lay motionless. His head was wrapped in thick bandages. His face was pale. His chest rose and fell very faintly, as if each breath required effort. One arm lay limp at his side, streaked with mud that had already dried. Diep stopped at the doorway. All the sounds around her seemed to drain away, leaving only the image of the man lying there, painfully unfamiliar, even though he was the person she knew best. Mrs. Huyen stepped in behind her. The moment she saw her son, her knees gave out. She covered her mouth with her hand, no sound escaping, only ragged breaths. The elderly woman hurried to help her sit down. Diep moved closer to James. She knelt slowly. Her hand hovered in the air for a few seconds before gently resting near his arm. James didn't react. Diep swallowed hard. Her throat burned, yet no tears came. Not because she wasn't in pain, but because the pain was too great, too sudden, for her body to respond yet. The elderly woman spoke softly, as if afraid of breaking the fragile air in the room. She explained how she had found James, how she had given first aid. Ordinary details, simple and unadorned. No heroics, no miracles. Just a person who couldn't bring herself to leave another human being by a cold stream. Diep listened, but her eyes never left James. In her mind now, there were no more questions, no more what-ifs, only a raw truth lying right in front of her. James had fallen. James had been here all night, and she had known nothing. Diep drew a deep breath. For the first time since morning, she felt her knees tremble. But she didn't collapse, she didn't cry, she didn't scream. Diep's breaking point wasn't loud. It was quiet, contained, and fell straight inward. She lifted her head and looked at Mrs. Huyen, then at the unfamiliar woman who had saved James. Diep's voice was very soft but clear. "We have to take him away, right now." Because at this moment there was no room left for fear. There was only time, and every passing minute could decide everything. No one debated for long. The moment Diep said those words, everyone understood. There was no time left to hesitate. The elderly woman was the first to stand up. She took a few more clean cloths, folded them carefully, and handed them to Diep. "Pat his head more," she said briefly. "Don't let it shift." The local man immediately stepped outside to call for more help. A quick call, an urgent request. In this area, such things didn't require much explanation. Diep knelt close beside James, keeping his head straight. She didn't speak, focusing on one thing alone, not letting him be jolted. Mrs. Huyen stood nearby, her hands trembling, yet she followed every instruction, slowly, carefully. A few minutes later, the sound of an engine came from the yard. A small pickup truck stopped at the gate. Old, dusty, but solid enough to carry a person. Two men stepped down, glanced quickly inside the house, then nodded. No one asked many questions. They laid out a wooden board and spread a blanket over it. Every movement was slow, coordinated. When they lifted James, everyone kept the same rhythm, keeping his body straight. Diep stayed near his head, her hands close to the bandages, her eyes never leaving his pale face. James didn't wake up, but he was still breathing. They gently placed him in the back of the truck, securing the board and wrapping the blanket tightly around him. The elderly woman handed Diep a small bundle of herbs. "These are what I gave him to drink," she said. "Tell the doctor everything you know." The truck began to move. The road was rough, the speed was slow. The driver went carefully, avoiding every pothole, every sharp curve. The local man followed behind on his motorbike, ready in case something went wrong. Diep sat close to James. Each time the truck tilted slightly, she immediately adjusted his position. In her mind, there was no room for anything else. No fear, no distant thoughts. Only one goal, getting James somewhere safe. When the clinic came into view, its lights were brighter than the road they had just traveled. The truck stopped. The staff inside had already been alerted. A stretcher was rolled out quickly. James was transferred down. Diep released her grip slowly. Only once she was sure he was stable. She stepped back, watching as he was taken inside. The door closed. The race against time was not over. But James was no longer lying alone in that wooden house. The waiting room of the small clinic was quiet and spare. White lights shone down onto the cold tiled floor, making everything clearer than necessary. Diep sat in a corner, both hands resting on her thighs, her eyes fixed on the door inside, the one James had just been taken through. He still hadn't woken up. No one said much to her, only short sentences, enough to understand that he was being closely monitored. Everything would take time, and time right now was the hardest thing to hold on to. Diep stood up and stepped outside for a moment. She called Mrs. Huyen, speaking softly so as not to alarm anyone further. James was under observation. She would stay near the clinic. Then Diep called the person looking after Ly, giving a few simple instructions. Ordinary things, yet things that kept her world from completely collapsing. When she ended the call, Diep leaned back against the wall and closed her eyes for a few seconds. Not to cry, but to breathe, to steady herself. She returned to her seat, to wait for news from inside, to wait for James to open his eyes, to wait for even the smallest sign that he might return to the life they knew. But no matter how long the wait, Diep knew she couldn't stop living. Ly still needed to be picked up, still needed to eat, to sleep, to have a mother clear-headed enough to carry on tomorrow. Diep looked toward the door one more time. Her eyes were tired, but not defeated. James had not woken up, and Diep had to learn how to wait, while continuing to live, for the child who was waiting for her to come home.